This is a special report from ABC News Digital.
I'm Dan Kleffler in New York with this ABC News Digital special report on a development emerging from Syria's civil war. Syria's foreign minister in Moscow today proposing a ceasefire in Aleppo, Syria's largest city and the target of much of the fighting there. Watching it all is ABC News Middle East correspondent Alex Marquardt, joining us now from via Skype from Beirut, Lebanon. Alex, bring us up what's happening now in this development.
Well, good morning, Dan. Well, this was a two-part proposal set forward by Walid Muallim, who's the Syrian foreign minister. He was in Moscow today visiting with his counterpart, and during a press conference that followed their meeting, he said that he had given the Russians, the Russians are really one of the Syrians' biggest allies, a proposal that would include a ceasefire for Aleppo specifically, which, as you noted, has borne the brunt of some of the worst fighting in this almost 3-year war. And the second part would be a prisoner exchange, in which some of the prisoners that the government is holding would be exchanged for prisoners that they say have been kidnapped, to use their language, by the rebel groups. So that was the two-part proposal that Muallim gave to his counterpart Lavrov in Moscow today.
Alex, if you can explain just the relationship a little bit more between Russia and Syria, because obviously Russia plays a very key role in dispelling any of the infighting that's happening in Syria.
Absolutely. So the Russians have been the biggest surrogates for Syria on the international stage. Syria's staunchest allies include Iran, China, and Russia, really. But Russia really has been their surrogate, their go-to, their representative when they're dealing with international bodies like the UN or the peace conferences that have taken place and will hopefully take place next week. It really has been the Russians that have been interfacing with the Americans on the opposite side in terms of trying to find a resolution for this 3-year war. Anytime the meetings happen at the foreign minister level, it's usually between Sergei Lavrov on the Russian side and John Kerry on the American side.
Let me ask you this then, Alex. Given the fact that Syria has obviously shown this kind of step forward, then what are the chances for those anti-government fighters to even consider this proposal?
Well, if you look at it in those two parts, in the prisoner exchange and then the ceasefire, you could get two different answers. The fighting opposition, the rebel fighters, are extraordinarily fragmented. There are hundreds, more than 1,000 different fighting groups. So if the government were to approach one